My name is David Marquis, and I'm going to tell you the story of how we founded the Oak Cliff Nature Preserve. It really came from the community. In the summer of 1999, I received a phone call from Laura Miller, at that time a member of the Dallas City Council, who later became mayor of the city of Dallas. She wanted me to come to a meeting to discuss a proposed development for the Boy Scout tract. We still call it the Boy Scout property. It was 160 acres owned by the Boy Scouts of Dallas. They wanted to sell the entire 160 acre and put that money into a camp they had further south down in Duncanville. Several people had tried to develop that acreage before but never got it done because it was so heavily forested. And Dallas has a tree mitigation ordinance, and that tree mitigation ordinance made it incredibly expensive to take all those trees down. So as a result, we needed to find a way to make a development happen that would please City Hall, because City Hall really wanted some economic development in our part of Oak Cliff, southwest Oak Cliff. But the neighborhood really wanted to hold on to the trees because all the neighbors around there had grown up playing in those creeks, grown up among those trees. Boy Scouts for years had been active on that property. So it was a very important piece of property to the community. So I first put on my boots. What do you do with a piece of land? You put on your boots. I went out and walked the entire 160 acres and found in the northwest corner about 22 acres that had been clear cut or farmed some years before that was no longer a virgin forest, it was a second growth scrub cedar. And so I thought, okay, if we can put the development up in this corner, then we can perhaps preserve the rest of it. At that time, I did not know anything about conservation development, which I now have studied nationally. But in those days, I simply was trying to figure out a way to do this, flying by the seat of my pants, using creative thinking. So there was a community meeting a few nights afterwards that Laura Miller sponsored. The developer came, made his presentation, and we went crazy. I was standing at the back of the room, yelling at the developer, we're not going to do this, you're not going to bulldoze all those trees. And then I went up to him afterwards and said, look, if you really want to talk about this, and you want to do this in a way that's acceptable to us as a community, I'll work with you. But you're not going to get to bulldoze all these trees. So Laura Miller and another council member named Barbara Mallory Caraway asked me to chair a task force. And the task force consists of some great folks like Charlotta Compton, who's a great activist in Oak Cliff, Beth Farrell, the owner of B&B Bicycles, which is our connection to the Dallas Off-Road Bicycle Association, Charlotte Barbosa, Donald Seelheimer, Carl Hartz, Michael Penn Smith, some really great neighborhood folks got together. And we knew we had a short time frame. We didn't have all the time in the world to do this because of the economic development pressures from City Hall. So it came down to trying to find a way to develop the northwest corner, preserve the rest. Where do you get the money? How do you put the deal together in such a way that it's structured so that you can do all those things in one development? The late great Polly Shields, a longtime board member of TLC, who's passed away, found for us a study, I believe it was from Stanford, that showed that any real estate next to a nature preserve or a green space increases in value. And I was able to take that and pair it with the knowledge that the city had $1.25 million of HUD Section 108 money that's used to stabilize neighborhoods. I was able to take that information and go to HUD, their regional office, and say, look, for $1.25 million we can preserve this. We also then can get senior housing, some low-income housing in this nature preserve, and do this in such a way that it's a win-win for everybody. So that was the basis of it. Now we got Michael Young, now the president of the board of TLC. Michael's a brilliant guy and a great lawyer and a dedicated conservationist. And Michael became the land use attorney for our neighborhood association. Working with Michael and Polly, we put together a plan that would bring about the senior housing, and we did that in this way. The city has to spend that HUD money every year, and they only had until the end of December to use up that $1.25 million, which created a real difficulty in one sense. I had to force that task force to meet 2 and sometimes 3 times a week to get this done by the end of December. But the good part about that was it gave me a stick to beat people with and say, look, if we don't get this done by December 31, we're going to lose it. So I just hammered people week after week, meeting after meeting, made people come to meetings to get this done. We had other community meetings. We did have some opposition from some folks who didn't want the senior housing They didn't want any kind of apartments built in our neighborhood. But we knew that seniors needed a good place to live in our neighborhood. So we had a community meeting. There was some opposition, but we made our presentation about all the good things to come from this. Hike and bike trails, save the trees, give seniors a clean, safe, affordable place to live. And we had talked the developer into donating 4 acres on the plot for a new library. We really needed a new library in our neighborhood. So now we're talking about a new library, hike and bike trails, saving trees, giving seniors a place to live, and all of a sudden the city thinks it's a great deal. So the developer agrees to do this. We work out a long-term low interest rate loan from the city to the developer so we can buy the whole tract from the Boy Scouts. Now the Boy Scouts are out of the deal. They're happy, they get their money, they go away. At that point in time, the tax credits for the senior apartments get approved. The city's now excited. They've got $20 million in new development. And the neighborhood's excited because at this meeting we hold, we're able to show how much support there is for a nature preserve, not a park. There are going to be no soccer fields. There's going to be no softball fields. It's going to be a nature preserve. So we took a ballot, we took a vote. I took paper ballots to the meeting. So I wanted the city council to see that we had the support of the community. The final vote was 63-3 in favor of our plan. And we went to the council. We went through the fall. We got to the council in December at the last council meeting of the year to get this approved. There had to be a special ordinance, a planned development district, with an ordinance putting all this down in writing. Michael Young did all that documentation, did a fabulous job of it. We carried those ballots to that meeting to show that we had a vote of 63-3 in favor. And we got all that documented, got it passed by the council with 3 unanimous votes in the last meeting of the year. And then at the very end of the year, literally as time was running out, at the end of 1999, we went to the closing. I signed the deed restrictions on behalf of the Neighborhood Association. The developer signed off on accepting the loan from the city and on the plan to build the senior housing units and transferring the deed to Napa, now TLC. And so as a result, within a period of 5 months, working day and night, driving people to meetings 3 times a week, getting this done, we created the Oak Cliff Nature Preserve. And it's a really wonderful resource for the community. People can hike there, they can walk their dogs there, they can ride their bikes there. It's a place where people can go and do landscape painting. And if you get down into the middle of the preserve, you really don't even know you're in the middle of the city. So it's been a great thing. It's one of the things I'm most proud of in my life, of all the things I've accomplished. And another very personal note, I'm a playwright and actor. And one of my plays is called The Land. It's about land conservation. We've toured it all over the country. But when the library was built on that 4 acres that the developer donated, it was built to Silver LEED standards. It has a black box theater as part of the library. And our first rehearsals for the play The Land was in that black box theater. So the place where we first developed my play The Land, that's going on the tour all over the place, was in the library that came about because one day I put my boots on and went out and walked the land. So it all ties together so well. And that library is now the 2nd busiest library in the entire Dallas public library system. And we're very proud of that fact. That we've now got a library there that people use. And we have a new elementary school that people use. So all that came out of that one phone call from somebody said, I need your help with some land. If you put your boots on, walk the land and think creatively, great things can happen.